saw this silly ass video with this black chick who's probably a plant from the Atlantic Council with a CFR talking about the Ukrainian conflict. And what she said is complete horse shit, which is why it's gone viral. Her doing the little coon ass hand movements and shit. Nah, screw that. I'm gonna tell you the real deal, as I've been talking about for years. See, this is the real story behind the Ukraine conflict. See, here's the deal. Ukraine has been broke as hell since the collapse of the Soviet Union. Life expectancy, medical and social programs are in complete shambles. This always leads to hardcore nationalism. Like I've said before, Jack and Danny's, when the money gets funny, cacks pull out the straps. See, Ukrainians in the West have rallied around the ideology of a popular old figure from the 30s named Stefan Bandera, who was allied to the Nazis. He hated the Soviets and rounded up certain ethnic groups and handed them over to the neo-Nazis, to the old Nazis. Executed many of them as well. In Western Ukraine, Bandera was a great hero. In the Eastern region, which is closer in ideology to Russia, he's despised, and so is anyone like him. Hence the divide. Now, as it stands in the current era, what essentially happened is Yanukovych was elected in 2010. Around the time Ukraine was trying to join the EU. He suspended those negotiations, which pissed people off and sparked those protests in Kiev back in 2013. And I think those videos are still up if old boy didn't delete them. But right around that time, as I said in the old video, the CIA and the State Department hijacked the movement, heavily armed the far-right nationalists like Svoboda and the right sector, and then spread anti-Western Ukrainian propaganda. The U.S. also sent troops covertly into Ukraine to snipe protesters and cops, like they did in Syria. They also burned buildings that killed women and children. I'm talking about the government, the U.S. government, and the neo-Nazis. They did this together. This all happened under the Uncle Tom president known as Barack Hussein Obama, an unknown anti-black who used cops to murder innocent people and passed laws to protect those cops. Now, during this time, Victoria Nuland planned the coup that led to Parliament ousting Yanukovych and putting the neo-Nazis into power. This is what led to the Eastern Ukrainians protesting and defecting to Russia. This is why you had Crimea, what's the other one, Luhansk, and Donetsk, all holding referendums to secede from the neo-Nazi-controlled Ukrainian government. This is what sparked the Civil War, or this in the CIA. It sparked this civil war, and the Ukrainians were too broke to take on Russia and the Russian-backed provinces. So the neo-Nazis turned to America, who had put them in the powerful first place. They turned to these guys for help. So U.S. troops united many of the neo-Nazis. The groups that the Svoboda gangs had been using, they allied all of them together into an already known larger violent group known as the Azov Battalion, and they backed them up from Poland. America's also sent, they say 3,000, but it's way more than that. It's probably like 10,000 troops in the Ukraine right now. See, when the U.S. military-controlled media says NATO is ramping up at the Ukrainian border, what it really means is the USA is sending in troops and supplies to fight Russia. This is a proxy war between Russia and America. And yes, it's about the Heartland Theory. Every single time. I ain't lying about none of this shit. The neo-Nazis have put out videos of themselves being trained by and with U.S. troops in Ukraine. The State Department says they stopped funding them back in 2018. What that means is that's when the CIA started funding and training them with their slush fund money that can't be traced. Similar to the Azerbaijan Afghan pipeline for heroin and guns to paramilitary troops around the world, especially the Congo and other places. Anyway, at the end of the day, America is funding, arming, and training neo-Nazis in Ukraine to fight Russia, while they also kill ethnic minorities. And that's a fact.